Josh, thank you so much for joining us here at Empower. It's great to see you. How does it feel to be back in the same room with all your colleagues again?
It's fantastic. It's nice to be back. It's nice to see everyone in person. And the events have been brilliant so far. The content's been fantastic.
Excellent. And you're here to talk specifically about sort of investor demands for personalisation. Have you seen a growth in that, and do you think that's pandemic related, or was that a trend we were seeing anyway?
I think it's been a trend that's been going on for a long time. I think the investor is demanding a new experience, something simpler, something cheaper, something that's more related to their outcomes. I think in the industry, for a long time, investment products have been sold rather than bought. And what you're seeing now is asset managers sort of thinking about how they tailor the experience to the investor, much more like you have in Netflix or Amazon, where you're recommended things that align to your personal goals. So we've seen that as a major trend, and moving towards making things more simple and cost effective for the investor.
What are the challenges of that, and leading on from that, any pitfalls there may be? Because presumably lots of protections have to be in place when things are made more accessible like that too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's actually more about the infrastructure that the industry's been running on. I mean, think about the core product. The mutual fund hasn't really changed in about 100 years. So if that's the thing that's delivering that outcome to an investor, then that's something that needs to change. And I think a lot of the legacy kind of technology that's been built into the industry also is ready for change. It is no longer at a state that it can provide that outcome for an investor. So when you do that, you kind of have to move on to new rails and do a lot of this stuff in the greenfield. And so, the work that we've been doing at Calastone is very much in that space about, building things that are totally new rails, and empowering asset managers, but asset services as well, to go on that journey with the future, to bring the investor on into the new world.
Tell me a bit more specifically about what Calastone are doing,
Sure.
about the platform and how it supports all of those ideas.
Yeah, definitely. So what Calastone have built is called the distributed market infrastructure, and really it's the kind of the new technology solution for asset managers, for asset services, for distribution players, and it combines the best of new technology, cloud computing, integration APIs, but also DLT as well. And it's about providing each one of those players in the ecosystem with the tools and technology that allow for their transformation journey. And it's a journey we've been on for the last 5 or 6 years, investing heavily and going on that education journey with our clients. And we're now starting to see the fruits of that labor in terms of new clients coming to us with their demands, but also that kind of the clients that we have been working on those engagements starting to go towards implementation as well. So it's a really exciting time to be developing it. You
talk there about engaging with clients, but what other sort of partnerships need to be existing in that sort of ecosystem?
Well, I think that it's the marriage between new entrants, change makers, the kind of the industry as it has been for the last 20, 30 years, and then also the regulator as well. It's an exciting place to be because where we are is really at the bridge between the new world of sort of crypto and digital assets, but also traditional finance. And when you do that, you have to make sure that you're listening to the new entrants about what they're trying to achieve, but also cater that to the goals of the traditional players and marry it in an ecosystem that really provides the best solution. But the regulator as well as a major participant in that network as well.
I was going to say, tell me about that, because is that a tricky relationship, and who's got to move first in a way? You described earlier to me, somebody's got to be brave and go for it almost.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I mean, I think the regulator, it's a changing role for the regulator. In the world that we're talking about creating tokenized investments or bringing DLT as a core part of financial services infrastructure, it's a new role for the regulator. They become much more active. They can get real-time insights into data. They can actually participate in the industry much more fully. And so in some ways, they're leading the agenda in terms of being proactive, creating sandboxes, allowing people to innovate. But also, when new technologies and new industries emerge, it has to be the participants who are the change makers, who are bringing new things to market and being provocative and challenging for the regulator. But it's certainly kind of an interesting marriage. And what you see is in different jurisdictions, different regulators adopting different streams, being close to sort of creating consistency across different jurisdictions. And I think we're getting there. I think now, with different regulators starting to make their stamp, starting to move towards greater sort of regulatory certainty, certainly in the area of digital assets and tokenization. Everyone's starting to come up to scratch with it, and it's a really exciting time.
There are hundreds of professionals here under one roof for the first time in a long time. How useful is it to you to be in that environment and to be able to have those conversations?
It's definitely useful. I mean, these are mostly people who you haven't seen in person for 18 months, so to actually kind of get the chance to see everyone in 3D is brilliant, and it's a new dynamic from a wholly virtual experience to something that's more tangible. I think earlier on the panel, you see someone in the crowd you recognise, it's the ability to go up to them afterwards and catch up properly. It's just a much better experience.
Well, it's great to see you in 3D too, John. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Emma.